Democratic National Convention is in a full swing, really kicked off last night with Michelle Obama. How did the blogosphere, the social media world react to that? We'll tell you that and more right here, right now on Digits. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Simon Constable. We're going to go straight down to Charlotte, North Carolina, where social media director Liz Heron is joined by a special guest from Facebook. We've got Sarah Feinberg. Over to you, Liz.
Hi, Simon. Thanks for having us. So I'm here with Sarah Feinberg. Sarah is the Director of Policy Communications at Facebook. So I wanted to start right off by talking about, how people on Facebook have been discussing, Michelle Obama's speech last night, Julian Castro's speech, the first day of the DNC, and how that compared to the RNC last week.
Well, I think foremost we're seeing just enormous engagement. So all across the country, both genders, but particularly female, today we're seeing a ton of engagement based on the First Lady's speech.
When you say engagement, what exactly do you mean?
People are liking the First Lady's speech, they're talking about it, they're posting stories about it, they're sharing stories about it. So really all the kinds of engagement you constantly see on Facebook about any issue of the day, we're seeing about the First Lady's speech. And that's similar to what we saw last week. So last week after Ann Romney spoke, we saw a lot of the similar kind of movement.
And when Ann Romney spoke, was that a lot of women talking about it? Is the same sort of demographic split?
A lot of women, and talking about Ann Romney last week and the Romney campaign last week, and a lot of women this week talking about the First Lady and the Obama campaign.
So when you say people are talking about it, is there any way to gauge exactly how they're talking about it? Is it positive or negative? Tell us a little bit about that.
But the main thing we're seeing is just activity, right? And so liking, sharing, posting newsfeed stories. When you think about it, if just this morning, the First Lady's staff shared, or the campaign staff shared, one of the quotes from the First Lady's speech yesterday, within an hour, that story had been shared and commented on tens and tens of thousands of times. And so those tend to be positive comments, those tend to be positive things that people are sharing and saying, but mainly we're just looking at levels of activity.
Okay, great. So I talked to your colleague Joel Kaplan last week in Tampa, and we discussed sort of the maturation of Facebook demographics and how a lot of people in the 55 and older demographic had been talking about Romney and the RNC. Are you seeing the same kind of demographics here in terms of age for the DNC, or is that different?
It's interesting. I mean, we are seeing, I think predominantly it's across all aspects, so it's all age groups. And Joel's exactly right that the 55 and older age bracket we're seeing them using Facebook more and more, talking about the election more and more. There's certainly a very engaged group of voters, but we're seeing it really across the board.
Okay. And what do you make of that in terms of, from a campaign's perspective, are they still trying to reach young people on Facebook? Is it really everybody now?
It's interesting. 4 years ago, people talked about the 2008 campaign as being a social campaign. Obviously, with the amount that Facebook has grown, with the introduction of Twitter, 2012 is heads and tails just beyond where 2008 was. There are now more people on Facebook in the United States than even voted in the election in 2008. And so just the presence of how many people are on Facebook has changed dramatically. And so I think campaigns go where voters are, right? Candidates go to voters. They don't waste time talking to folks who aren't engaged and aren't going to vote. And they are using Facebook to talk to voters, to engage their supporters, and to get enthusiasm coming out of the convention.
So, Obama has orders of magnitude more Facebook followers than Romney does on his page.
He's had some more time to build those up.
This is true. Yeah, I was going to ask you, just what do you make of that? And do you feel like that's a big opportunity for Obama, a big liability for Romney, or does it not really matter in the real world?
I think it matters. I think that the reality is that the president has had a lot of time to build up a lot of support. Obviously, from 2008, his campaign was incredibly engaged on Facebook and online generally, and so he's had a lot of time. With the Romney campaign, we're seeing a lot of activity over the last few weeks. What's most interesting is how many people are not just likes, but how many people are talking about the candidate. Andrew and I, my colleague, were just looking this morning at how many people are actively talking about the campaigns right now. It's more than 6 million people just in the last few days are actively posting, they're sharing, they're liking the campaigns. That's massive engagement. When you think of those 6 million people, the average Facebook user has 120 friends on Facebook. So the magnitude is massive. So 6 million people talking and sharing about a candidate, you times that by 120.
That network effect.
You're literally hitting the entire country.
So Tell me, Facebook has had a big presence down here at both conventions. Facebook as a company, is it going to fare better under another Obama term or a Romney administration?
Oh, that's interesting. I think, look, I think that we will ultimately do fine under either administration. We now have hundreds of millions of users in the United States, and globally we're at more than 900 million users. And so I think ultimately, regardless of what administration is in power, we will work with that administration really carefully so that they understand the policies of Facebook, so they understand the impact of Facebook, especially our business impact.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, and back to you, Simon.
Very much, Liz. Liz Heron, social media director here at the Wall Street Journal. And our coverage of the election continues tonight in prime time, and you can watch that on WSJ.com, WSJ Live, and YouTube channel, even on your iPad. It'll be hosted by Alan Murray. You will not want to miss that. Maybe a late night for some of you, but you will still want to not want to miss that.